Today I finally get to check Parabola off my bucket list. Hey guys, Shawn here from the Everyday Aficionados, and today we have a review that I've been looking forward to for a long time now. I've been trying to get my hands on a bottle of Firestone Walker Parabola since I started drinking craft beer. It's been one of those craft beers that has just eluded me, but finally this year I was able to get my hands on a bottle of the 2016 vintage. This one is a Russian Imperial Oatmeal Stout that's been aged in bourbon barrels for a full year, and it's been aged in a blend of barrels including Elijah Craig, Four Roses, Pappy Van Winkle, Woodford Reserve, and Buffalo Trace. It's 13.1% ABV and 79 IBUs. And again, this is one of the most sought after and highly rated bourbon barrel aged Imperial Stouts out there. Very limited and very hard to get your hands on a bottle, but finally I was able to pull it off. Excited to try it out. Oh my goodness. Huge amount of dark fruits in this one. It's like a incredibly sweet raisin or fig and cherry in there. Very sweet and dark fruit smelling. Like a dark fruit candy almost. Incredible. Very sweet caramel and toffee characteristics coming through too. The toasted coconut from the bourbon barrels. Vanilla, like a big vanilla sweetness. Not getting too much of like a chocolatey stout-like character. It's really all about like the boozy vanilla sweetness and the toasted coconut, the dark fruit character, the sweetness from that, and again the caramel and toffee, very sweet and dessert smelling. Cheers. That's a little bit different than I expected. For a 13.1% Imperial Stout, it's a little bit light and a little bit thin. Even just looking at it, I can get a decent amount of light to shine through it. It doesn't necessarily feel like a really big, rich Imperial Stout. I would actually say that it's kind of getting close to medium bodied, like almost medium plus, but probably a little bit closer to the lighter side of full. And it is missing some of that really characteristic like fudgy chocolate note that you get from a lot of Imperial Stouts. It's there. It's a little bit more towards dark chocolate and like straight up cocoa powder and bitter dark chocolate, but it's not as intense or as full and flavorful as some other Imperial Stouts. You're getting a lot more of those notes that I was getting on the nose, which is like the toffee caramel character. But even then, the sweetness is pulled back some compared to the nose. I expected it to be really sweet and dessert-like, but it's a little bit more dry and again a little bit more thin than I really expected going into it. But you are getting those caramel toffee notes. Big vanilla character and toasted coconut from the barrel. It has a booziness. You can tell it's a barrel-aged beer for sure. That 1 year of barrel aging comes through in it. You're getting a smoky type character, a little bit of that like peated malt note that you get from a lot of barrel-aged beers. And also, the dark fruits are really coming through. Again, it's like a really sweet raisin or fig, maybe hints of cherry, but much more towards like raisin and fig along with that booziness. Now, when I say that it's drier than I expected to, in no way is it a dry beer. There's still a solid sweetness in there that goes along with the caramel and toffee notes and the vanilla and the toasted coconut character. But it has a dry aspect to it, a dryingness, especially towards the back end, that I was really not expecting, but it's interesting and different. It's almost like the oak tannin woody barrel character adds a little bit of a dryness towards the back end. Almost like a cherry wood type character in there too. Maybe even a slight earthiness. And again, you are getting some chocolate notes coming through from the middle of the mouth towards the back end. More towards dark chocolate and cocoa, along with the caramel toffee. And I am a little bit surprised. I mean, for a beer that's been aged in barrels for a year, there is a little bit of a soft carbonation character in the mouth. And again, finishes up bittersweet with some of the dark chocolate character, more of that toasted coconut vanilla, just a big toasted coconut vanilla character in this beer, as well as the dark fruit booziness and some of the sweet caramel notes. For my final thoughts, on Firestone Walker's Parabola. This one's going to get an A+ for me. I think it's a really excellently crafted barrel-aged beer, although I will say that I think the hype surrounding this one kind of works against itself a little bit, at least for me, because I was disappointed by the mouthfeel and the body of this one. I expected it to be a little bit more of a rich, viscous, chewy drinking experience, and that's really what I enjoy in my Imperial Stouts and my barrel-aged Imperial Stouts. And this one, it's a little bit thin. Again, you can get some of the light shining through it, although I really can't complain about the flavor in this one at all, because you get the huge toasted coconut and the vanilla notes along with the caramel toffee characteristics, all the dark fruits. It's incredibly delicious, dessert-like, with a little bit of a dryness in there too that I didn't expect. So it's a really tasty beer, although I will say I did plan on doing a face-off between this and this year's release of Bourbon County brand Stout. Although after doing this review, I don't think I'm going to bother opening up that Bourbon County, because I think that the Bourbon County would win that face-off pretty easily. So at least for me, this year's release of Bourbon County brand Stout is better than this year's release of Parabola, I would say. With all that said, again, this is an excellent barrel-aged beer. Is it one that you have to go crazy hunting for or trade your whole collection for? Absolutely not. I mean, there are a lot of great barrel-aged beers out there, so don't go crazy for this one, but if somehow you stumble into a bottle, it's definitely worth a try. What do you guys think of Parabola? Did you try this year's version? How do you think it compares to this year's version of Bourbon County? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Until next time, drink responsibly and passionately. Thanks for watching. Now that is magical.